I'm Laurie Sterling. I am a growth and exit strategist, and I am on B with Anna Brand.
So how did you get into what you currently do? Yeah. Was it because you had a business and then you realised, hold on a minute, I'm kind of bottlenecking this?
Yeah, it was a mixture of past experiences. So my first business I started when I was 21 years old, very naive in that before I started my business, I was in finance. So I was a bookkeeper hired because GST had just been introduced in Australia. GST is the equivalent of VAT.
Oh, okay.
And so I knew how to lodge a tax form, and I thought that meant I knew how to run a business.
Well, to be honest, that's probably more than most of us knew before we started.
Yes. So I launched into building this brand new business, not knowing anything really what I was doing, but we learnt on the go. I built it. So it started out as graphic design, turned into web design, then into web development, and we ran that for over 14 years.
Who was it when you say we?
My husband and I.
Right.
Yeah. But it was literally like I was walking the streets handing out business cards to shops. Like our very first client was my beautician. Like it was just getting anybody we could because we needed sort of some extra cash flow. And yeah, so we built that business, and then when we wanted to move from Australia to the UK, the dream was to move the business over here as well, and just, we'd pick up UK clients and probably have Australian clients as well. And we were here for 3 months. We went to heaps of networking events. We could not get like our foot in the door anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
Well, it's about 8 years ago.
Wow.
That was. And so we're like, okay, this isn't meant to be like how we thought it was. And then right in the last week that we were here, so we were here for 3 months, in that last week, my husband had met someone who we had networked with when we first got here, like in the first month. And it was a company based in London, and they just wanted to hire him straight up. And what we didn't know was to get our visas done properly, we actually needed to be earning a certain amount that our business would not have been. It would have been a lot harder for our business to be able to support our visas than if he just had a straight up job. Mm-hmm. So blessing in disguise, we ended up going that path, and he worked for this London company. And
so were you living in London then?
No, we came straight to the north.
Right.
Yeah, and so we were working remotely.
Right. Okay.
And he was working remotely at that time because our business had wrapped up. I was sort of left twiddling my thumbs a bit, and I'm like, well, I want to do something. And I had dabbled in Australia a little bit around helping people who have unpredictable income to be able to live a household budget, and since my background was finance and I'd done this for like 14 years, we raised a family, been traveling, paid off our mortgage, all of that, living on that unpredictable income. So I had a few tips and tricks up my sleeve that I could teach people and show people. And then I found when I was working with people, I could diagnose using metrics and numbers inside their business, but I couldn't help them fix the problem until we went deeper into operations. And so that key operations, I didn't even know what operations meant. And I'd been running a business for 14 years. And I'm like, what is this magic? Like, I can get a business to run itself? Like, this was a whole new concept for me. And I sort of dove down that rabbit hole, connected with a company in the US who was like well-renowned for being the best in the industry, written the book on the topic. And their program was like $5,000 to be able to learn their process and their system. And I didn't have 5,000. We just moved to the other side of the world. And so I reached out to them in an email and I asked, would you let me coach inside your company? And I didn't hear anything for like 2 weeks, and then I got an email back saying, yeah, let's jump on a Zoom call and work this out. So I ended up working for the best of the best. They paid me to learn their system in the US. And that took me right through like COVID times, all working online, and businesses were, collapsing left, right, and centre.
And if you hadn't had the balls to just write that, if you you could have just done what most people would have done, which was, oh, I don't have that money. Oh, God, something else. But you didn't. You were just like, well, I'm just going to ask them, because what's the worst that can happen? Exactly.
And so that gave me the confidence to be able to ask for more. So once I finished working with them, I had the ability to step into operations roles, which then led to COO roles, as Chief Operating Officer. So I would do fractional work for businesses, step in as their CEO, and I tripled my income overnight through being able to have that expertise behind me. Because the company was so renowned, that their brand sort of was attached to mine, and I could leverage that as well. So for that, so after that time, I worked inside people's businesses, building the systems and operations for them to be able to build a business that could run without them or without being dependent on them. And then sort of coming out of the COVID era, there was another switch in the economy that happened where all these businesses that had built their online presence all had come back into day-to-day bricks and mortar, connection, networking, because everyone had been starved at it at that time. And so they were all having pivots and drops of income. So I ended up losing 2 contracts at the same time, just through economic pressures. And so I was kind of like, oh, well, what do I do now? And but I knew the knowledge that I had built over that time, I just wanted to share it with more people, that I didn't just want to work with, 3 or 4 people inside of their business. I wanted to be able to help, to teach more people that what they can achieve and what they can do without it being dependent on them. So that's sort of, again, another pivot. If I was to say what my career looks like in one word, it's the career of many pivots. Even my first business, pivoting from graphic design to web development, it was all because you could see what was happening on the horizon, what changes were happening, and we knew we had to make those pivots to make sure we were heading in the right direction. So.
And that's, because obviously lockdown was a huge pivot for everybody, wasn't it? For most people were pivoting, weren't they? But most people were pivoting into something that they had experience in, or they knew that they were good at. Or some people pivoted from one thing to something totally different. That was always a bit dubious. But and then now you've got the same thing because you've got AI. So now, your business is. The things that you're teaching are going to be changing because of the.
There's a huge part of. AI has, let's say, technology and the change of technology has always had a big impact in our business right from the start. 21 years ago, there was this new social media platform of Facebook. Did that mean that websites were no longer needed? But it was just seeing how people were using the new technology and making sure that you were at the edge of it, that you knew what was going on, that you were utilizing it and you were pivoting fast. So the advancement of technology has always been there, and utilizing automations and things like that, that has always been integral to make sure you're at the forefront, make sure you're doing what your competitors aren't, make sure you're embracing that change. And there's been lots of pivots, including AI and web development. My husband has now changed from web development into databases because AI relies very heavily on databases. And so, again, he's seen another change in the industry, and he's made sure that he's in a position of strength and not chasing the 8 ball because everybody else is jumping on that bandwagon. So,
brilliant! Oh wow, what a team! So because obviously AI is going to be helping. AI isn't a hindrance to you.
No.
It's just going to make what you do even more powerful.
Yes.
So it's fantastic for you. Whereas I know whereas other people are slowly getting pushed out of a job.
Yeah. But if they were embracing AI, then they could be the best in their industry because of it.
Yeah, because you always need a human to control the
Yeah.
AI. I think that's what people are forgetting, the fact that you still need the human
Absolutely
to do that.
That's it. And I bet you've still got competitors that are out there that are embracing AI and doing better, or doing what you could be doing, but because they're utilizing technology, they're leveraging that.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that the industry has disappeared entirely.
No, exactly. I personally absolutely love it. Although I'm totally scared of it as well.
Yes.
But I actually just feel more sorry for people who've now gone into business of AI, because they'll go to sleep and wake up in the morning and have to start all over again.
Yeah. I feel sorry for, I'll go to a lot of tech conferences and they'll be talking about, self-driving cars and things like that. And I'm, amazed by the technology that's out there.
Yeah.
And they'll walk on the street and I'll see all the taxi drivers lined up. And I'm like, that's who I feel sorry for, is the taxi drivers who don't realize their job is about to be taken by self-driving cars, and that they have no idea what's coming for them. And they could be getting ready now for whatever the next stage is.
But self-driving cars, surely that's...
It's already happening in London.
Are they actually driving around in London, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucy Batley, when you see her posts on LinkedIn, and I often think, God, because she's always saying, this is happening, this is potentially happening, this could be happening now, and I'm always thinking, gosh, Lucy, you must have to be so on the ball constantly.
Yes, she is.
She is, she's unreal.
Yes,
she's unreal. But it's just so incredibly fast. I was speaking to somebody who was one of the students at the uni, and he's absolutely unbelievable. And I jumped on a call with him as well, because he's sort of running the AI, the Claude kind of group at the uni, and his knowledge of it is absolutely insane. And he was saying, he can start his day, and then by 11 o'clock he's having to reread this, that, and the other, because everything's changed.
Yes.
And it just, the thought of it exhausts me completely. That's why I love that we've got people like him and Lucy to keep on top of it.
Yeah. But it's actually meant that things that you would think, that would cost me thousands of dollars to get a developer to do that. I had a program that my husband being a developer, I've wanted him to develop an app for me since forever, but I could never explain to him what I wanted, because it's very finance heavy and he's not a finance brain at all. And so I could never explain to him what I wanted this app to do. But I sat down one Saturday and I built an MVP, like a minimum viable product of what that app looked like, and got it working, had logins and everything, because I knew what I needed and I could explain what I wanted to the AI, and it just built it.
That's insane.
In one afternoon. And now I can take that, and it would be easier now to take that to a developer to take it further. But that first block of being able to explain that to that person, it was just me and the computer, and it understood my brain better than a person could.
It's so good. I've started, so my AI now, I'm always telling him, I'm always telling him, I was ChatGPT, but then when I went over to Claude, it was a guy, and I never worked out how to change the voice back. And now that several weeks have gone by now, I've got used to him, so now I can't change him. So now that's that anyway. But I tell him regularly, please just, don't speak to me like that. Speak to me like this. Like, don't let me get away with this, that, and the other. And so now I laugh, because at the end of things, you'll literally put, right now, will you just put your pen down and go and do that thing that you were supposed to do? Or will you stop doing that thing where you go round and round and round in circles, and you all the way around the world, and then you get back to that point again? And that's the reason that you never move forward, because you're always in this loop.
Yes.
and I'm like literally sitting laughing with an AI. It's really weird. But anyway, they start to understand your mind and tell you off, and I love that.
Yes. And the way it can be applied into our businesses, like if you have like a particular IP way of structure of doing something with a client, and there's certain steps you like to take that through, you can teach that AI what those steps are. But it also means that your staff, if somebody else in your team was to do that for your client, there's some guardrails, some guidelines that the program will keep them in line with. So for example, my app that I built, it was how to reverse engineer your sales numbers so that you could project, well, if I need to make 10 grand in a quarter, what does that look like in sales? How many sales do I need to make? And I can, how many packages do I need to sell? And keeps taking those numbers backwards. If I had to teach, that's something that I can just do with my clients off the top of my head. I've been doing it for many, many years.
Yeah.
Then I taught the computer to do it. I can now teach my team to take a client through that process using the guardrails of the AI or the software to do that I built. So that's how it can help, the IP that is in your head, you can use that to be able to service one-to-many. It's not just in your head now. Your team can actually take that tool and use it for your clients too.
Exactly. It's getting that now, which is, and so what I was saying before, that's what I'm working on now. And I actually don't think I would have been able to do it without AI, just because I've got the process down because I've been doing it for so long, but even then it was in my head, and I never thought that I would ever be able to get that to a point where it was no longer in my head, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without AI.
That's interesting, because what I did for the US-based company was I would help extract that information from people's heads, and that was before AI was part of that. So now, AI makes that process a lot easier. But that's still I would know what questions to ask to be able to pull that out of your head.
Oh, that's really interesting though, because
quite a skill that though.
So, definitely, because even AI, it still doesn't know exactly what question. It still can't sit with me the way you'd be able to sit with me and hear and see my reactions to things and see the way that I emotionally react to something. All of those, it can ask questions, and it can put something into a structure, but it's still nowhere near, absolutely nowhere near the way a human would be able to do that.
That's right. So where I would start is I would ask you, all right, there's probably in your business, there's several activities that you do, because there'll be a big promise that you give your clients. I presume it's something to do with personal branding. Is there a big promise on the top of your website or something that you...
Well, there is, so it's... My big promise that I'm currently writing out now in the B, which I'm working on the B method, is you don't need to have something special, unique, or different in order to build something amazing. And I think that people, especially small business owners, let's just say you're an accountant or bookkeeper, or you're a VA, or you sell candles, well, everyone else does that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do anything different or have anything unique in order to build something really, really special.
Okay, so your big promise is you help people build something amazing or build something special.
Yeah.
That, and without having to have a special expertise to start with.
Yes.
So that is...
Because it's how you package it and present it.
So that's the promise. So when they work with you, there's a transformation that happens. They go from A to B, and you help them get them from A to B. And so there'd be a set of steps that you take that person
Not know
through.
how to talk about the business, not know how to attract, how to turn it into something that's going to be the absolute perfect match and the obvious choice for someone.
Nice. So what's happening is there's a transformation that you are taking your clients through, which is an activity that you do with your clients. And that, a lot of people... Let's use a different scenario, for example. An accountant can have a different activity. It's what I call the golden goose. It's that activity. It's not the person, but it's the activity that person does that creates that transformation. And if you put more money, more time, more resources behind that activity, you're going to get better results for that client, or bigger results, or... And so understanding what that secret sauce is, using different metaphors, secret sauce, golden goose, but that activity that happens inside your business is the piece that if you can identify what that is, you can grow and expand it and it not be attached to the person who's doing that activity. So that's what I would find out, what are all the activities that you're doing that helps make that transformation happen, and then like start taking away things that like, well, that helps, but this other thing is more important. And it's usually what somebody will say in their testimonial. Is they say, like, I came because, you know, Anna has done this process before, but I stayed because she made me realize this about myself. So like you'll find in testimonials, they'll give you a clue that what is that special thing that you provided for them. Maybe it was that you explain things better than anyone else. So back to the accountant scenario, you can have an accountant that does the same thing, essentially, you know, file your tax returns, but they can have a different activity that makes them stand out from somebody else, because it might be maybe they are the fastest, they do the fastest turnaround, and so, you know, you'll give them your books and in a week you'll be able to know how much your tax return is due. But a completely different accountant will say, oh, well, I sit down and I help you plan what your year is going to look like, and, you know, we look at your cash flow and your forecast, and that is a complete, like, still at the end of the day, your taxes are going to be filed, but they've offered a completely different service, and that service is it's that secret sauce that makes them stand out from their competitors. And so they are going to hone into that activity and build their reputation around that. And then that's the key. That's the IP that we drill in on and understand. That's what we need to grow and expand. That it's not attached to the person, it's the activity that's happening behind it.
That's just brilliant. Everything that you've just said, 100% agree with. And I talk about the golden thread. That once you find that, once you uncover that, it's that golden thread that goes through every part of your business. Something that you can hang everything onto. And when you uncover that, like, marketing does itself.
Yes, it does. Your reputation precedes you. Exactly.
It writes itself.
It does.
And what you were talking about, I haven't even got to this bit, you know, I'm just too busy yakking to you. When you talk about, or I mentioned to you before about the hustling founder, and I was lying awake last night thinking, I've got to do this and I've got to do that, and oh shit, I need to do that, and actually I'm working on my IP and I need to actually book a call with that person. And such and such wanted it, and that's what you like constantly, and other things that people will resonate with, which is how you've spent years potentially building up enough courage to take that next step up the ladder, or you finally done your first podcast episode, or shown up as yourself finally without trying to be, and it's so like liberating, and it's so amazing that you've done all these great things and constantly achieving, but constantly losing and battling, but keeping on going.
You keep moving the goalposts.
And yet nobody's thinking about what you actually do, which is so insanely important. So explain it.
So what's happening is, as the visionary of the company, you can see 10 years down the line, and you can see tomorrow, and you can see next quarter. You have a bigger picture view than everybody else does. Whereas maybe in your team, they've got one job and one focus and one metric that they're trying to improve or get done. Whereas because you've got so many things to see, there are actually all different levers that you can pull in your business, and knowing what those levers are, what I call the bottlenecks inside of our business. And when we're trying to fix all that, like, we're trying to keep all of those levers in balance. And so understanding which lever that I'm going to pull is going to have the most impact right now in my business. And that can be like some growth behind the scenes, that you need to build something so that you can increase your capacity, or it might be that you have an opportunity that's going to give you great exposure, and so you're concentrating on that. All of those different levers, you're thinking about them all at once. And as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, when we're building our business, we have to learn what all of those are along the way, and we have to learn fast, and we have to learn like all of it all at once. And so it's all these hats that we have to wear immediately. But once you hit a capacity, you have to start taking some of those hats off and understand that which ones you can pull, that's going to get a bigger impact, and which ones can actually, we can hold back. That's not like, it's like the weakest link in the chain. If I fix one, it's going to improve the flow. And so this, each of these bottlenecks, there's 5 bottlenecks, and each of them, if I open one bottleneck, it's going to create a bottleneck somewhere else, because we're going to hit a new level. And then as your business grows, you'll hit a different bottleneck because you'll keep opening them up. So it's like...
So is it known as well which ones of those to be concentrating on? Which one... Yeah. You know, that Jason always talks about, you know, that the quote that that rower said, unless it makes the boat go faster, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's concentrate on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Like for me, I focus on one bottleneck per quarter, and then I measure that bottleneck to make sure that the activities that I'm doing, is it doing anything? Is it working? And has it fixed the problem? And if it hasn't fixed the problem, do I need to fix it another way? But I need to be able to measure that. So that's where like numbers and metrics and dashboards can come into play, and understanding your numbers. And measuring.
Is there a reason for the quarter? What is it? Is that?
Yes, because each quarter has 6 sprints. So a sprint's in the tech world, a sprint is usually a 2-week period that you concentrate on one particular project, and you can have several sprints working on one project, but I find having 6 sprints is enough to be able to concentrate on a small enough problem and still keep like business as usual happening in your business. So you'll concentrate on opening up one bottleneck in your business, whether that's branding awareness, creating new leads, improving conversion and sales in your business, increasing capacity and delivery in your business, or you might have cash flow is the other bottleneck. And so if you're concentrating on what is the biggest bottleneck that's stopping me from getting to the next level right now, I'm going to fix that. So let's say right now I've got maximum capacity, I can't bring in any more income. There's no point in me bringing in more leads and more sales because I've only got a certain amount of capacity. So I might concentrate for the next quarter on increasing my capacity. And I mean hiring someone. That might be, you know, creating a course. It could be training somebody already in my team. It could be delegating something off my plate that's taking me away from delivery. And so understanding like what strategy is going into that is what I concentrate on in one quarter. Then at the end of the quarter, I worked out, well, have I fixed that problem, or is that problem still there? And then if I fix that problem, then it's probably created a bottleneck somewhere else. Okay, I've increased my capacity. Now I need to get more sales and more leads come in so I can, you know, fill up, bring more people through that again. And so I might change to the next quarter might be bringing new leads then. And but what I don't want to do is be jumping from one to the next backwards and forwards each time.
Like
It's more like I want to turn on a faucet so it trickles through. So when I finish working with one person, the next person is standing there ready with their money held out, wanting to work with you. And it's like, come on in. And that cycle continues, and someone who's finished with working with you might recommend you to somebody else, and that gets them through that cycle again, or they want to work with you on a different project, or they want to do the next level with you. So, or, you know, retainer, or so that cycle can start again. But then we want to keep that faucet happening so that people are trickling through the brand and leads and sales in the amount of time that it takes somebody to work with you in your delivery. So it is a balance that has to happen. And like I said, with the levers, sometimes if we pull too many, if we get too many leads in at once, we can feel overwhelmed. And so we might have to put in a wait list and be able to actually screen the people who want to work with us first before they get to the sales stage. And they can opt out of working with you and maybe have a different option first. Maybe they might want to do a cheaper DIY version before they're ready to work with you one-on-one or something like that. So yeah, that's why each quarter I would determine which one in particular, so I can make sure I've not only solved the problem, but I can measure it and make sure that that can continue to happen without me being integral to that process.
Yeah. And so what advice would you give to founders who have a service, because a product can work without you?
Yes.
Because obviously you can still, even if you are still the face of that product, it can still function and everything can happen without you.
Yeah.
But the service providers, the people who are going to turn around and probably say, oh, but Laurie, they expect to see me particularly. You know, they've paid because of me and they want to see me, and they make it all about, it's like as if we're like, well, we're so famous, you know, they want to actually just only be me.
Yeah.
That's not what they're thinking, but yes.
Yeah.
They're not, it's that feeling of, why would they pay somebody else? Why would they pay my business and then I'd bring them a total stranger? And they're like, but Laurie, I wanted to see.
Well, there's a couple of things. So this is where understanding that it's your IP that they're following, not just you. And yes, you bring expertise into that, but you have also trained your team in your IP and to do it your particular way, using your systems, your quality of standard, that sort of thing. And that is built into any customer working with you. And maybe your process is to check it at the end, to be there at the start and check it at the end. Like comfort the client, say, yes, this is what we're going to do. You can check it at the end, but your team takes care of most of it. And then there's also what happens is a transfer of trust needs to happen, because you've built a personal brand and people have come to you because of who you are. There's a process where you will transfer your trust to your team and say, look, my team is going to take care of this because they are so much better at the details than I am. And they've been trained in the same, in all of my knowledge and everything. They've been trained by me. They know exactly what's expected of them. They're going to hit this metric, and this metric. Like, that's like, don't worry, you're in great hands. I'm going to keep an eye on the project. I'm here if you need me at any time. So that transfer of trust still happens to your team. And like, yes, it's still your brand, but they understand that you trust your team as much as them. So that transfer needs to happen as well. And then what about the ones that are going to say, okay, so I've done this and I've got my IP. I can now teach this process, so I can transfer my knowledge. But then how do you find somebody who, because quite often you have people definitely in my industry, where we would say, but sometimes the ideas are coming from, so I can take somebody through a process, but the way that I think them through that process, as well as take them through it, how do you find the person that's going to have the same ability to be able to do that? Yeah, so sometimes what you're looking for inside a person has nothing to do with their experience. It's more to do with the soft skills that they bring to it, and a lot of that is culture. So I would much rather hire somebody for culture and the way that they think and the way they solve a problem than their experience. So like, you could bring someone from a completely different industry, but if they answer questions the same way you would, that's like, oh, okay, like, this person thinks the same way as I would. I'm happy to train them in the skills that they need, as long as those soft skills match what we need in the business. So
that's really interesting, because that's actually that's actually important, isn't it? You would definitely in my business would hire somebody based on the soft skill, because anybody can learn the other bits. Exactly. But it's the thinking. You want somebody who has that brain, who can think outside the box and think creatively.
That's it. And so it comes down to, well, how are you advertising for the role? Describe you, or describe, like, I used to write, you know, someone who at the end of the day, they writing lists of the tasks on their list just so they can tick them off at the end of the day, because, like, as how many things that you get ticked off in the day is part of, like, the thrill of the work.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you want someone who loves writing lists, they're organized, they like numbers, like I'm describing a person like me.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying they have to use this particular software, they have to have that knowledge already, because I can teach all of that.
But you want them to have the same values as well.
Yeah, values is a big part.
Love it, love it. Let's see what we've got Amelia's ask.
Oh,
Amelia's, and she runs the office downstairs.
Nice.
And I don't know what it is yet. I just tell her who's coming on, and she writes it for me. So
it's great.
Amelia's ask of the day is: if you could have a magic wand and remove any bottleneck from everyday life, whether it's waiting for a kettle to boil or being stuck in traffic, what would it be and why? That's such a good one.
I'd say, like, doing my hair, like putting my makeup on.
Makeup? Do you not wish you could just wake up and it was just tattooed on?
Yeah, because I feel like I might have a idea for, like, a video or something, and I'm like, I could just record myself, like, right now, but I'm like, no, first I have to go do my hair and my makeup first before I can do that. And I feel like it's
that's a really good one.
Yes,
it really is, because do you not sometimes have ideas that you want to share, and it's always at the wrong time?
Yeah, like when I've come out of the shower because I've been thinking about it. Or
literally first thing in the morning when your hair's everywhere and you're shouting at the kids.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. I love that. Maybe we should do more just talkovers instead, so we can just record it there and then you've just got some other visuals to go with it.
Yeah, that can help, definitely.
That's brilliant. I love that. I love that. That was one that I was thinking this morning. What is the cost of leaving this too late? Building a business that can work without you. So we've been hustling, battling for 10, 15, 20, however many years, 30 years.
Yeah.
We're going to get to a point where we want to retire, no matter how much we love it. We don't want to just retire and then just leave everything that you've just built and just go bye-bye business.
That's it. There's actually a really scary statistic that says 80% of people who go to sell their business fail to, and the main reason being the dependency on the business owner.
Yeah.
Because your business is worth more without you.
Yeah.
And that, like, is a bit of a kick to your ego, because, like, this business is an extension of my personality, essentially.
Yes.
It's who I am as a person, and maybe even, like, the value of the talent that I have, I've monetized that, and so that monetary value is a part of who I am as well. Like, it can get really sticky with that identity that's attached. But when you've built a business for 20, 30 years, and then you get to the end of the day and like 80% of businesses can't sell, then the other option is just to, you know, sell the assets. If you have assets, liquidate your assets, close it all down, and then the next person kind of has to start it all from scratch. And whereas you could be passing that legacy on to someone, and the impact that you've had in your business and all the clients that you've been able to help, does that have to stop just because you've stopped?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
could we teach the next generation how to help these people as well? And they, you know, can embrace technology and be able to keep advancing it and help more people and help, you know, keep that legacy going.
Yeah.
Rather than have to pack it all up and close it all down and not be worth anything to anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do you think it's more valuable the longer the knowledge, even though it's changing, day on day, never mind month on month, year on year, the process is constantly having to change. But do you think that because you've had that process going for so many years, over so many different hurdles and changes, that it becomes more valuable?
Well, yeah, the more processes and assets and systems that you've built for your business, the more assets you have in your business, the more valuable your business is. But some businesses, especially like boomer businesses that have been running for the longest time. They've just kept things like, we've always done it this way. This is the way things are because it's worked for X amount of years. They're actually the businesses that are in more danger in that they've probably started dwindling because they've had competition that have really embraced. Like if your website has like fill out, essentially send me an email to get a quote, then you're already behind the technology.
Yeah.
If you can get a quote immediately from your website through, some sort of calculation form, then, or your competition is doing that, then they've already left you behind. If someone can't immediately through your website be able to work with you.
Yeah.
And so
wow,
that's just one example of...
You need to hear all this, Neil. I hope you're bloody writing it down.
I've recorded it.
That's just one example. And because you've done something for so long, your income might be like dwindling because your competition is picking up that slack. Because like when I'm booking in, let's say for my hairdresser, I'm doing it like 9:30 at night because it's the last thing I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I need to get that done. They're not open. I'm not waiting until 9 o'clock in the morning when I'm busy at my business to book in a hair appointment. I'm doing it right then at that moment, booking in. I don't have to bother anybody. I know it's done because I'm thinking of it in the morning. I can go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so like understanding that that's the market that we're in now, it isn't what it used to be. And so businesses that have run for 20, 30 years, if you haven't been improving along the way, then your business is still worth something, but it needs to be updated, ready for the next generation. And you've built a brand that's worth something, and that can be passed on to the next generation as well. So there is a lot that your business is worth, but it's understanding what's holding it back at the moment.
And that whole, because it is like, I know what you just used talking about the hair appointment now. Yeah. It sounds awful, but you are at that point now where we're like, well, I'm finished work now. It's 9 o'clock at night. Say you've just remembered something, or you might be in bed and oh shit. And you don't want to ring somebody, clearly.
No.
You just want it to be like a click, click, done.
Yes.
Or you're moving on to the next one.
That's it. I don't even want to be sending someone an email for them to email me back the next day. And then, oh, woe is me if they ask me for my phone number.
Yeah.
I'm not picking that up.
And you need to know there and then that it's booked. Yeah. That's really important. Yeah. So you either need to be able to get onto that call, book the appointment, whatever it is, there and then. Not give an email and wait because we're like, well, I need to know now it's booked. Yeah. Because I need to go to sleep now.
That's
I can't wait until
Otherwise,
tomorrow.
I'm finding somebody else that I can get that information from. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that brutal.
It is.
Neil.
Can I ask something?
Come on, go for it.
You've touched on it briefly, but this whole idea of handing something over, we are all control freaks, aren't we?
Yes.
There's a big bit of work to do personally.
Yes.
From the business owner, the business founder, to be able to kind of go, there you are.
Yes. So I wouldn't just blatantly hand something over without some sort of like a handover period. So there's still, when we talk about that transfer of trust, there is a transfer of trust that you need to have with your team as well. So it would be like, this is me thinking through this process. Here's the decisions that I would usually make when I'm making that, and handing over the decisions. So you can hand over a task to somebody, and as the business owner, you are used to taking risk in your business. You start it up, you put your own money on the line, you've done everything, you made all the decisions, and if you've made the wrong decision, that falls on at your feet. But when you bring a team on, if they make the wrong decision, then that's a risk. Are they costing the business money for making the wrong decision? Are they going to lose their job for making the wrong decision? Are they going to be able to fix the problem if they make the wrong decision? So that risk, they're not prepared to take that risk. So they're coming back to you and asking you, what would you do in this situation? And if you answer that, you're taking that risk back onto yourself. So they don't care. If it was wrong, well, they asked you and you're the one, it falls at your feet anyway. But when you delegate a task to your team, you need to delegate the decisions that come with that task too. So your team need to feel safe making those decisions, and to do that is giving them like a decision tree of, in this scenario, if this question comes through, I would say, okay, is solving this problem going to cost me more than £100 or less than £100? If it's less than £100, go and do it. If it's more than £100, then talk about it with you or somebody else on the team and understand, what is the problem, the cause behind that. So they're just little decision trees that you can have, or it can be something as simple as a checklist, like when I'm setting up filming in a room, have I checked the microphones are on? Have I checked the card is full, or the checklist that you would go through in that situation. That is somebody else to start with. You might be shadowing them, watching them go through that process, but you get to the stage where they've done it a few times. You can trust them, and so that transfer of trust has now happened to your team. And so there are guardrails, there are systems, there are processes that we can put into the place that you've checked that system is foolproof, that anybody can do it, and so you can now trust your team to take that on.
Yeah, that's a good question though, that.
Yeah.
And I think it would be scary at first, but like everything in life, once you'd got used to it, it would just, it's fine. Yeah. It's like the whole thinking of selling your business. You would, people who, because you feel so personal about it. Yeah. I think when it got to the point when you were ready to retire, and I could be like, fucking have it. Give me the money.
Yeah. And if you get to the stage where your business can run without you, well, maybe your business can keep running without you. Give you a little bit of income throughout your retirement.
It seems nuts to not want to do that. Why would you not want to do that? It's just insane.
Yeah, unless someone wants to buy it outright and they're going to give you $1 million or $2 million for it, then sure. I'll
Absolutely, crack on. Yeah. I'm dying to be able to find the right people to be able to say, right, I wanted to impart this. Yeah. I want you to be able to go with it and use my.
That's it. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you're building a business to run itself, but you're still staying as the visionary, you can take yourself out of the day-to-day operations of the business, but somebody still needs to stay the visionary of the business. And that is like maybe making new connections. It could be, collaborations with other companies. It could be just ideas that you've had sitting in the back of the brain saying, if I had time, I would go and do, this X, Y, and Z to improve things. But until now, you've never had time because you've been too busy delivering the work. So understanding that visionary work is equally as important. But if you're preparing your business now for an exit, you need to find somebody else who also has a vision for the business. Yeah. And you can pass on your vision and say, this is what I had in mind, these are my ideas, and see that they're on the same track. And then teach them how to make the decisions and the operations side of things so that they can take over that vision, how to read the map, show them the destination, and then leave it up to them. Yeah. But somebody still needs to stay the visionary of the company.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point as well, very actually. Important. But I would even love to just be at the point where I was just the visionary.
Yes.
Can you? That's the best part about it.
Is. And there's a bit of scenario I like to speak about. If at the moment you have, you're doing 100% of the work that you're doing now, if you could reduce your workload down to 20%, just the best bits, 80% is off your plate. You've delegated that to your team. You're doing this 20%, and it's you living in your element, in your zone of genius, doing what you do best. That 20% that you're doing is your new 100%. And so if you're working just in that 100%, you'll probably find a new 20%. Yeah. And you're going to go even deeper onto a whole new level that you didn't even know was available to you because you were still holding on to the original 100%. And you couldn't even see that, 20% of 20%. Yeah. Because, that's just too granular to understand, or bigger picture. There was too much in the way to do that. Yeah. But that is where the magic happens, when you can level up into just that new 20% inside your 20%. That's fun.
Oh man, that sounds so... And I'm going to have shiny object syndrome all day today now. Just
what can we get off your page so that we can chase that shiny object?
Exactly. Yes. So because of obviously everything that your business is about, how does it make, because obviously personal branding is, and mine has elements of, but it's not it's not about the person. The person is a part of how you tell the story through your lens, rather than building it around you.
Yeah.
But then, how do you feel about, obviously, because personal branding is everywhere now, people who are creating businesses that are, because that's what they're being told now.
Yeah.
You are the business. You are the business. The uniqueness about your business is you.
Yes.
You are the reason that people, you are the differentiation. You are all of these things. Then what would you say?
Yes, I would say you can still be the key person of influence in your business. That's referring to Dan Priestley. I don't know if you've heard of Dan Priestley before, but he has written a book on being a key person of influence. And if you look at people...
Yes, I did.
Yeah, if you look at people like Richard Branson, like, he's not flying the planes.
Yeah.
He's the brand of his business. He's the face of his business. But it's all running without him. He's just the visionary. He had a vision.
But yet, when you think about it, Virgin, you still associate it with...
Absolutely, yeah.
You'd fly the planes if they'd let
Yes.
What would you... what would you say to somebody who's building a personal brand, who has courses, programs, or does one-to-one work with people? What is something they could do or start doing now if they want to get into a position where it will run without them?
Yes, so it's about getting clear on your vision. So there are like 5 different ways to scale your business. One of them is create an agency. But that won't suit everybody. One is create like a franchise where you teach the teacher. Another one is scaling one-to-many using software, using courses and programs, memberships, even on stages, selling one-to-many, YouTube, things like that. They're all ways that you can deliver one-to-many. Another one is what I call the rock star style, where you can turn up and be the talent, and everybody else, like, you're not selling the tickets, you're not selling the merchandise, you are just turning up, singing your songs, maybe writing the songs. Not everybody writes their own songs, but you're there performing them, and so everything else is off your plate. That's what I would call the rock star method.
Rock star.
And, wouldn't
it be good? Should we just become rock stars?
Yeah.
That's twice now that that's been in my, I'm just saying.
Called you rock star?
Somebody.
It might be Lucy, actually.
It was Ashley King.
That's right.
There you go. And then the final one is
like, world is telling the universe is telling me.
I would say you're far more rock star than me.
Nice. And then the final one is just raising your profile so much that you are the best in your industry. You literally write the book on the topic, and that increases your demand, which means you can increase your prices, and you can be, you can quote prices outside of most people in the industry can quote, because you are the best of the best, and people want that. And so you can hire nobody and still be the best and have the best prices. And so that's your 5 different models. So it's understanding which model suits you best and your own vision, whether you just want a lifestyle business, whether you want to build an empire, all of that is going to look different to different people. So it's being clear on what that's going to look like, and then we can reverse engineer the steps to get there.
Right. Which one's yours, Neil?
I mean, I'd love to be a rock star.
Yeah, there you go. And that's it. You've said it on camera now. So Neil's going to be a rock star. What's your sort of timeline for
that? Retirement.
2 year, 5, 3 year?
5.
5 year, right.
Okay. All right.
You said it
We'll
here.
make that happen. Yeah. So what's currently on your plate, all the repeatable tasks that are stopping you from just turning up and be the talent?
Well, marketing.
Marketing,
I mean,
editing.
Yeah. They're all things you could teach somebody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
there you
it's,
go.
like I said earlier, it's the psychology of letting go as well.
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But understanding that you're creating assets, and those assets come from your IP, and that's an extension of you, rather than your face doing the work and your hand doing the work. It's still you and your legacy that you leave.
Exactly, because it's about leaving a legacy as well, isn't it?
I suppose,
You don't want to spend all these years doing all the hard graft and then you've nothing left behind.
Yeah.
Nothing left behind.
We have to do blame the bot before we finish.
Ooh.
It is, as it says, not my fault. So whatever question you get,
It's not your fault.
It's not my fault.
Okay.
Take your pick.
Okay.
Okay, read it out.
When was the last time you felt completely out of your depth and pretended you weren't? This is me when I'm speaking on stages.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I am like complete introvert. This, like, how many years ago would have had me shaking in my boots having an interview, but I've sort of built this resilience from practice, but just turning up confidently, because I not really use this anymore, but when I first started, I created like an alter ego, and that alter ego I wore like a cape that protected me, and I could turn up as a character, speak on stage, be vibrant, be brilliant, be the brightest person in the room, because that was not how I was brought up. I was brought up to stay quiet and don't bring attention to yourself. And so to do the opposite of all of that when I'm speaking on stages and events and things like that. So I had to create this other persona that, like, well, that's not me, that's this persona, and I could turn up as that person, switch it on and switch it off. And that I did that enough to give me the confidence to say, well, I don't need that persona anymore.
Yeah.
I can just turn up and do this now. But, yeah.
That's
Well,
really
that's
interesting.
interesting. You know, when you say you were brought up to sort of
Yeah.
bring attention to yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
So then how do you know if that is really you or not? If you were saying, if you've been told to be like that,
Yeah.
maybe you aren't that, maybe you are that alter ego.
Possibly. I think different like arenas, different scenarios bring out different parts of my personality.
Yeah.
So like who I am as a mum to my kids is going to be very different to who I am in the corporate world when I'm schmoozing clients, sort of thing. So maybe that's masking, but it's the tools that I've had to use that I want to show up where I want to show up, when I want to show up. So yeah.
I feel like I've definitely done that. Like
Yeah.
I've talked about this loads, that I definitely used to turn up as somebody different in different environments, especially when you go networking.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that I am. I try not to be, but I think I'm pretty much the same person here that I would be at a meeting, that I would be at a networking, that I am when I'm doing one-to-one with my clients, that I am when I'm working at the uni, that I am with my kids. It's all the same now. There is no other me.
Yeah, there are times, I think, like, the big differentiator for me is at home, I'm a lazy bum, and then when I'm working, I've like gotten motivation sort of kicking me up the pants.
Yeah.
So who I am at home, I feel like the laziest person on earth sometimes, because I'll have sleep-ins on Saturday and things like that.
That doesn't make you lazy. That just means you're just enjoying your little sleep or getting cozy on the couch.
I think so.
That's not lazy.
Probably. I think, it's balance and rest.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think having that drive is, like, sometimes I don't always feel motivated to have that drive, so that's when I have to tap into that.
Yes, I totally relate to that. Yeah, when you are just in your, you could just get in your pajamas and get on the couch. Yeah. But you actually have to kick yourself up the arse. Yeah. So I guess on that, sometimes you have to force yourself to be that person when you don't feel like it. Well, you have to do that a lot, to be fair. I've loved this conversation.
Oh, great.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you being here, Laurie. Like, we've just learned loads. Neil's got a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a rock star.
Nice.
I love it. Thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure. I've loved it.